Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the World Forest Report. I'm going to continue where I left off last week because I was going through some recent reports regarding fires in various places throughout the globe, and so I shall read off a couple more of those reports. The following information was sourced from China News Service, dated August the 5th, 2021, and the report goes on to say that the worst wildfires in decades have been burning on Turkey and the Aegean coast for a week, and the heat wave has increased, raising the risk of worsening fires and air pollution in nearby areas. The European Union's Air Monitoring Agency said on the 4th that the Mediterranean region has become a wildfire hot zone, and such a climate will become more frequent in the future. In recent days, wildfires on the southern coast of Turkey have continued to rage. In large areas of southern Turkey, the temperature has exceeded 40 degrees Celsius, and the continuous high temperature has caused hundreds of fires in the past few days. Since the fire broke out, thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes. Local residents and support teams from Russia, Ukraine, and Iran are helping to put out the fire. At least 13 aircraft, 45 helicopters, drones, and 828 fire trucks participated in the firefighting. According to reports, nearly 200 wildfires have occurred in Turkey in the past 8 days, of which 15 have not been controlled. A fire site in the southwestern Muğla province has spread to the edge of a nearby thermal power plant. The plant has been evacuated, and flammable and explosive materials have been removed. Turkish President Erdogan said this thermal power plant may have burned to the ground. If it weren't for the violent wind, the fire would have been under control. The fire in the southern town of Manavgat in Antalya province, where the fire was first reported a week ago, has not yet been extinguished, and fires have spread in several western provinces in the past 2 days. Turkey's neighbouring country, Greece, also suffered the worst heat wave since 1987. The temperature across the country generally reached over 40 degrees Celsius on the 3rd, and the highest temperature in parts of the capital, Athens, reached 45 degrees Celsius. On the 3rd, local time, a wildfire broke out in the forested area of northern Athens. Many houses were burned down. The authorities ordered thousands of residents in the nearby area to evacuate urgently. The fire caused 7 people to be admitted to hospital for breathing problems, and another firefighter was injured. On the evening of the 3rd, the Deputy Minister of Citizen Protection, Elias, said that due to extreme weather, there have been 81 wildfires in various parts of Greece in the past 24 hours. Among them, the northern suburbs of Athens are the most serious. Strong winds and dry weather made the fire difficult to control. The government has sent 520 firefighters, 150 fire trucks, 14 firefighting planes, and helicopters to extinguish the fire. Hundreds of soldiers, police, volunteers, and municipal employees also participated. On August the 3rd local time, wildfires burned in the suburbs of Variompompi in northern Athens, Greece. Recently, many European countries are facing disasters caused by extreme summer weather. For example, in mid-July, Western European countries such as Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium were hit by catastrophic floods, and many Southern European countries in the Mediterranean region, such as Greece and Spain, have also experienced severe heat waves recently, and fire. Scientists estimate that climate change causes global temperature to continue to rise, and the number of heat waves around the world will become more frequent and last longer, and the impact will be stronger. The European Union's Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Agency stated that the hot and dry environment increases the risk of wildfires worsening. The agency monitors wildfires through satellites and ground-based observatories, indicating that the material and intensity of wildfires in Turkey and southern Italy are increasing rapidly. The smoke stream caused by wildfires in southern Turkey can be clearly seen on satellite images. The severe fire has caused severe suspended particulate matter air pollutants over the eastern Mediterranean. Parrington, a senior scientist at the Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Agency, said, "It is particularly important to observe these intense fires closely, because the smoke from wildfires not only affects the local air quality, but also drifts away with the wind." The European Commission also stated on the 4th that it was dispatching firefighting aircraft, helicopters, and firefighters to assist countries such as Italy, Greece, Albania, and North Macedonia.
I think one of the secrets about all of this is, which I never thought about, all these atmospheric rivers has been steered towards China, and they're flooding China out. It seems like China's built all their war weaponry and all their major industries down below the ground. So it looks like what this is about is to flood them out.
Well, I've heard things about China trying to, since they supposedly created the virus to to cause economic chaos here in the United States, so they can take over. But one world government too. There's that going on too. So I see it as everybody's in collusion. Even though it looks a certain way.
Well, I agree with you. This atmospheric rivers that these guys are steering isn't an absolute science. I think once they start doing this, it makes the weather in the other areas unbalanced, and we just have to keep dealing with it until they get this thing over with. Because I've heard that China, they plan on invading this, and I think that's why all this trouble we've been going through here is to get us into a revolution. That way they can come in behind and clean up.
Yeah, rumors. I've heard that too. And well, speaking of the pollutants too, yeah, it's like spreading the COVID. If there is a COVID, these fires are spreading all kinds of stuff that the chemtrails are spraying, plus anything, it's just a massive pollution experience here for everybody. The fires and they're also with the 5G, being, David Icke says 5G is like a directed energy weapon. I mean, he calls it the same thing. So these fires are being started by 5G or directed energy weapons, lasers, whatever you want to call it, but they're all related to help destroy the environment, create ill health, mind control, everything. There's so many angles to it.
I've also heard that during the Second World War, the boys experimented with 5G, and what they ended up doing is cooking the eyeballs out of people. So they know pretty well what it'll do, and it's been around for almost 70 years.
It can certainly fry you, yes, to a crisp.
Make your eyeballs look like hard-boiled eggs.
Well, you just burnt to a crisp. There's nothing left of you, basically.
Microwave. Yeah, I've been working on 6G. Wow, I can't wait.
Yeah, just in case. But this will, in order to, they need to complete the grid. I mean, the 5G will complete the AI control, potential here to control the everybody here on Earth. Then the AI can be involved with the control factor, with the mind control and all everything else that's going on. I'd like to play something. Okay, this is up near you, Tim, Mount Shasta area. This Dane Wigington of geoengineering.watch. This is recent. He takes a tour of Lake Shasta. I don't know if you've been down there, but it used to be a lush, huge lake, recreational area, and you'll see what's going on with it now.
This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org, and you're looking at Lake Shasta, or what once was Lake Shasta. It's so apocalyptic here, you can barely make out the sun in the sky. That's how much smoke is here. It's literally like the surface of Venus. The conditions are so horrific. Forest is absolutely bone dry. Fires burning on 3 sides of this particular location, some distance away, but the cloud smoke cover is absolutely relentless. The air quality is absolutely horrific. Almost no water in this lake left at all. And what you're looking at there is a dirt road that leads to what's left of the lake and where the so-called resort still exists. I'm going to travel that road now. Let's go to that resort and see just how desperate some Americans are to party until the last possible moment. They haul their expensive boats down this road. Let's go take a look. I felt compelled to show just how dry it is. This region's several hundred inches of rain short since 2007. Very few people want to talk about that or admit that. where you see the tree line start, that's where the high water line is for the lake. And you can see in front of me, the lake is empty. Again, where you look, everywhere you see where the land is bare, that was once underwater. Should be underwater. This time of year, the lake would be a little lower, but nothing like this. And in this region right here is where the resort, Lake Shasta Resort, should be and once was, but because the water level is so low, they've pushed the resort further and further down into the very basin of the lake in order to try to keep it going. Skies are filled with smoke, fires on 3 sides of our area here, and how many Americans are still completely focused on recreating any way they possibly can, even if it's in a mud hole. Again, everything you see, all this bare land, including the road I'm riding on, was once the bottom of the lake. Now all empty. I'm going to keep going until I reach where the Lake Shasta Resort now is. This is a boat ramp. It's now high and dry. One of the ramps along the edge of the lake. And there's a road on that side that continues down toward the Lake Shasta Resort. And here you see cars even like this that really have not designed for this kind of a road. Cars making quite a bit of noise. Most Americans don't care. You see the sun is very dim in the sky because the skies are filled with smoke. Again, everything you see that's bare dirt was lake, should be lake, including the road I'm riding on, which has been built into the dry lake bed now. It's beaten to silt. You can see that the road is beaten down to what looks like flour because so many vehicles going over it, attempting to get into the mud hole that's left. And there you see the mud hole that's left right there. There's just a drive for Americans to recreate and pursue personal pleasure, even if the planet is imploding by the day. Football games and beer. And waving flags as if somehow that's all patriotic, the American way of life. Sorry, I don't buy it. I don't want to be a part of it. If that's what patriotism means today, I want nothing to do with it. Patriotism starts with the courage to face the truth and address very real and immediate challenges. Very few people are willing to do that. They simply want to be a part of one tribe or another, Democrat, Republican, left, right, conservative, liberal, and pretend if they just elect somebody to represent them, everything will be fine. There's your Lake Shasta Resort right there in a mud hole. Again, every bit of bare dirt you see was underwater. The high water mark should be at the tree line. This road built into the lake bed so that Americans can keep recreating no matter what. Forests around us, dead, dying by the day. Worst drought in at least 1,200 years based on paleo data. It is likely that it is far worse than that even, but official sources are not willing to disclose that. Lake bed behind me, the sun barely shining through. The road is beaten into silt. It's like riding through a flower pit, so it's a little bit of care is needed here. So many vehicles riding over it. And there's what's left of Lake Shasta, the Lake Shasta Resort. And that seems to be what's pushed as some sort of virtue in America, overcoming diversity. If the lake ends up being a mud hole, you just build a road to the bottom of the mud hole and pretend nothing's wrong. Look how many people enjoying the mud hole. It's a matter of priorities, and the kind of priorities that we seem to have now in this country have led us to a very dark place. no regard for the environment on which all of our lives completely depend, no regard whatsoever, and even trying to introduce and share data, irrefutable data, on the reality of climate engineering operations. The vast majority don't want to hear it. They want to pretend nothing's wrong. They want to pretend if they just do what they're told and roll up their sleeve, everything will turn out fine. Standing near a drying out basin in Lake Shasta, drying, dying, warming, buzzards and the trees that are now exposed, lake bed all around. Water is extraordinarily warm and getting warmer. Not much left in Lake Shasta. But will that stop people from trying to pretend nothing is wrong and having fun until the brutal bitter end, and ignoring the wider horizon and pretending they have no part in what happens, in the outcome on our dying planet? This is what it's like, even in this location. Take a good look. A circus. It's a virtual circus. Partying on the Titanic. Not much more than a mud hole left in Lake Shasta. And the vast majority, I'm sad to say, again pretending nothing's wrong, that somehow it'll magically all fix itself. Skies that are completely canopied with smoke, filthy air, again buzzards flying in the background. Could barely make out the sun earlier. It looked like shining through the atmosphere of Venus. It's gone now. Smoke is too thick. It's not penetrating the smoke canopy anymore, but you have to drive, as I showed earlier, a considerable distance through dry lake bed to reach this last mud puddle. Plenty of new vehicles around, purchased perhaps with nothing down, no interest, no payments for 6 months, and still the attempt to recreate continues. Shasta County Resort here with houseboats, where you can rent a house on the water to motor off into some remaining corner of the mud hole, pretend nothing's wrong with the smoke-filled skies. How you doing, guys?
You live right now?
Just recording. Yeah.
That's right.
Guys, stay safe, eh?
You too, guys.
Right, good. Certainly many good people that are just not aware of what's going on the wider horizon, but what will it take, I would ask, to make them aware? What will it take? How bad does it have to get before there's some focus on addressing, take care of me, go, on addressing what's left of the planet's life support systems and what it will take to salvage those systems, or there's anything left to salvage. Our only goal, if you guys don't mind,
Go for it.
our only goal is to expose what intervening in the climate system without public knowledge or consent. Our site is geoengineeringwatch.org. How would you feel if you knew that governments around the globe had decided to intervene in the climate system without public knowledge, public consent, environmental impact report? How would that make you feel if you knew that was affecting precipitation cycles, hydrological cycle? Do you think
You're
that
talking
that's
about like government, like controlling weather?
it's called geoengineering, solar
We're
radiation.
geologists, so
Are you? Have you heard the term geo?
Yep.
Thank you for that background. It's helpful. I have a background in solar power. I work at Bechtel Power Corporation. My home is on the cover of the world's largest renewable energy magazine. I have solar, wind, and hydro. So that's what brought us onto this issue, was we were losing massive amount of solar PV uptake, because when you deflect the direct sunlight, you radically reduce solar PV output. So we can see on satellite imagery off the US West Coast the aerosol operations, which the stated purpose is to put light scattering particles into the sky to deflect some of the sun's incoming thermal radiation. But you disrupt the hydrological cycle, you affect the ozone layer.
Right.
But have you seen, or in the course of your profession, is there any dialogue about these programs other than their proposals?
there's no discussion. It's just a discussion about climate change in general,
Which-
not where it comes from. Well, I mean, industry.
Which certainly is we absolutely acknowledge. I mean, we've been horrible stewards of the planet. Where would you start? But our premise is that intentionally intervening in these operations is a leap in the wrong direction. That, you know, we should cease and desist with the damage being done and not add to it further by trying to mask the symptom with operations that are inflicting yet more damage. So that's our premise. We have Air Force people working with us now. We have former Forest Service, former Fish and Game. Have you ever heard that there's a federal gag order, an illegal federal gag order on National Weather Service and NOAA? You know who NOAA is. So our group we acquired a NOAA flying lab at extraordinary expense and difficulty, put top scientists in that aircraft and tested behind heavy aircraft at altitude and found exactly what we were looking for. Climate engineering elements would start with aluminum, by the way. So if you guys are geologists, you know that bioavailable aluminum is toxic to all life forms.
No, that's bad.
So we've done 70 lab tests in this region alone at the state certified lab. There's so much aluminum coming down in our precipitation. We've had single rain event tests with as high as 3,450 ppb of aluminum in a single rain event.
Are those not natural aerosols released by what we're just doing with companies and things like that?
Okay, great question. CARB, you know, CARB is the California Air Resources Board. They've studied the aerosols migrating from China, and aluminum is not amongst those aerosols. CARB cannot identify where those aerosols are coming from, and that is in fact a primary element in climate engineering patents. So why aluminum? Because aluminum has a high albedo, high reflectivity. So it's very effective for deflecting some of the incoming thermal energy, but the toxicological effects apparently not even considered. So we've tested soil pHs in this area, and then this is your guys' arena. I have the USDA baselines in my possession from the 40s and 30s down to the acre, and soil pHs in this region that were 5.4, 5.5, 5.6 naturally acidic soils are now 6.6 because of the pH of the rain now. Rain pH should be about 5.6 due to atmospheric carbon loading. We're seeing, in the tests that have the heavy amounts of aluminum, we're seeing 6.6, 6.8. So again, there's a very direct cause and effect, and we're trying desperately to introduce the issue to others. So anyway, I'm very grateful, you guys. I don't want to take up all your day, but thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Appreciate the information.
In a nutshell, though, with you two as professionals, it would not seem rational to you to intervene in climate systems without environmental impact reports, public disclosure. That would seem elemental, right?
Yeah, no, that seems like pretty basic.
Thank you for your time. Nice that a few people would take the time, especially two geologists, and take the time to listen, take data, and if everybody felt a sense of responsibility, we could put this issue on the radar. I feel a strong sense of responsibility for this gift that was given to us. It's being treated with unimaginable contempt by the human race. How does that look? Bottom of Lake Shasta. So long as we're here and standing, it's our obligation. It's not just an option, it's an obligation to fight, to defend and preserve what's still left of this miracle planet Earth, and its web of life, its inhabitants that absolutely don't deserve what the human race has done. And the vast majority feel that someone somewhere is taking care of making everything right again. It simply couldn't be further from the truth. Bottom line is, if we don't do something today, we're not going to have tomorrow. I know many don't want to try if they don't feel they can have a guaranteed happy ending. And that's unfortunate, because there's no guarantees in life on anything. But what is guaranteed, if we do our best to do our best, if we do what we know is right because it's right, not because of any guarantee of any specific outcome, then we're on the right track. If we can save any part of what once was here so that something might continue, that fight is worth every fiber of our being. Please help us to sound the alarm while it can still make a difference. Again, share credible data from a credible source. See the activist suggestions link on the homepage of geoengineeringwatch.org to learn more about how you can help, how you can make your voice heard in this most critical battle. This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org.
You're saying this is Mount Shasta?
Yes. Shasta Lake.
Yeah, I used to swim in that damn thing. We used to jump off the Pitt River Bridge.
What's that? You used to go there, you say, Ron?
Yeah, as kids, we used to walk up there. We had about a 6-mile walk from Project City, and we used to get on that Pitt River Bridge and jump off of it.
Yeah, I used to go fishing. The salmon were spawning upstream. I used to catch salmon with my hands.
Yeah, big salmon. Yeah, you could.
Yeah. Tim, have you been down there lately?
No.
Well, it doesn't look good. Let's see.
Yeah, it's burning up a lot right now, too.
Looks like there's no water left in there.
There's a little mud hole there at the end of his ride there.
Well, they won't be generating any electricity with it.
No. Is it a hydroelectric kind of operation?
You get right, sure is.
Oh boy. Okay.
We could do the same thing as the powers that be that are causing the weather patterns on the earth. We get the primary water coming out of the earth and guide it where it's needed over the forest fires and onto the land that needs the water to grow the forests and the foods, and to wash down all the poisons in places.
I think there's something going on funny with these reservoirs. I've never seen them ever empty. I think they've been dumping water. It's hard to tell if their water level is high enough to get to the turbines to get them to turn. It may be below the water line that they need to be.
I don't see it working. Yeah, that's like there's hardly anything in there. Very shallow too.
Or you could see where, I wish they could show Shasta Dam to see where the water level is. Well, it looks pretty empty.
Yeah, but it doesn't show how far it is to the dam, so that could be down to that point, but still have miles of water backed up. But yeah, it sure looks like a lot of the lake's not there anymore.
It's out. I just kind of wanted to show you that because that's up where, I used to live up there in Northern California, up above there, and south of where Tim lives in Grants Pass. So that's just report. This is recent. What's going on there? I don't know how is it with you, Tim? There.
We're having our worst smoke of the summer in the valley yesterday and today. It's blowing in from different directions. The north up towards Roseburg, about 80 miles away, there's a big fire up there, and the east has the big fire here in southeastern Oregon too, and then Northern California is having a big batch of forest burning. I was up in the hills the other day, and it was real nice. The wind came in from the coastal area to where I was, and there wasn't any smoke. But then I looked over towards the east, well, southeast, a little bit south, and here was this gigantic billowing white massive, I guess you'd call it a cloud coming up, that I could see the top of, quite a bit of it. Then when I got around where I could see the valley below it, it was all solid smoke for all I could see to the east and the south and the north from where I was. That big, huge white cloud was one of those kind of clouds that forest fires make. They make clouds themselves. It's pretty impressive, the giantness of the clouds they can create when they're burning the forests up. But I do see the opportunity to be able to put these forest fires out with the technology in the proper hands, that whether it's from the ocean or the primary water, it's just being able to control where the moisture goes, and when it's needed, let it pour on the forest fires, or actually when they first begin. So, because otherwise it looks like at this rate there's going to be very little of the forest left that are virgin forests after the logging and the forest fires, besides the amount of all the creatures that are being destroyed too. At the same time, all the trees aren't providing the oxygen, and we're getting all their particles of burnt materials from the forest, and who knows what else is going up with it all, and that gets into the air. But I see that we can put out the forest fires if we get the ability to create what it takes, just like the government is doing with their whatever it's called, geoengineering. Well, just do, when there's a problem, you'd be able to get rid of it. Well, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. It'd just be an experience that was taking place to be able to stop the forest from burning, because there's sure a lot of the forest that's getting destroyed here in this area between the northern part of America and the southern part. And they've done that in Montana in big ways too in the years past. There's just huge areas of the kind of timber, the forests that grow there, like the lodgepole pines, that just, whether they call it the forest fires or whether they plant the beetles and the insects that kill trees, one way or the other, it seems like there's a real big effort, all right, to destroy the forests and everything that practically is alive in the forests.
That big plume of smoke you saw, is that west going down that road that we were on to go to Bucks Mountain there?
Oh, it's south of there. It's down, it was in California, it's Northern California.
Trinity Alps or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's coming towards Oregon again. Here just a couple of years ago, it burned up a huge area all the way to the border. But this is another part that hasn't been cremated yet. And I see that California has over 1 million acres of forest that's already been burnt. And that's the second largest amount that's ever burnt that they have on their records in a season. And it's not over yet. They're still all the way from this dryness. It looks like we'll be going to the middle of November is about normal for our first storms to come in and finish putting out the forest fires. But until then, more fires can be happening.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. If you all could it all possibly take some photos or even video and share those here. If you get on, the technological part, if you can figure that out or get some help. It's like what Dane's doing is interesting because he's actually showing what's happening in the field, and it makes a big difference when you're marketing this, you could say, or sharing this, to other people.
Well, what's strange here is all these fires, and there's been no clouds, so they can't blame the lightning starting them. So who in the hell is starting these fires? What I think it's to drive the people that live in those mountains out and try to drive them into the cities. I think that's been the plan all along.
Yeah, that's Agenda 2030 and 2021. Move everybody to the cities, and the wilderness areas will be forbidden unless you need a permit to go in there. They'll be sectioned off because, well, the humans cause these, disasters. We need to keep the humans out. So these are protected areas. Move everybody to the city so they can be watched and controlled and used.
Well, big government's always got to control you. What else are they going to do? It's all about control. All of this is about control.
Yeah, so
I better shut up before I start bitching.
Now, if you can take some pictures of where you're at, even if I don't mean go into a fire, and but in
Well,
danger.
I can't take pictures. I'm laid up in my home, but this is all. None of this is a mistake, and it's hard to plan against something that if these guys are hell bent on burning the damn country down and rearrange everything. That's just going to take time for all of this finally to die out. And these people for us to get rid of these people. That's what it's going to take.
Well, they have the technology to get rid of all of us anytime they want to. And it's like we don't have the ability to protect ourselves from them at this time on Earth. They're in control, and what they want to do, they're doing.
Kevin, do you have anything? You have something else, right, Kevin?
Yeah, because last week you mentioned about the Schumann Resonance, and you said it might be an idea for somebody to get a little bit of information regarding that, and so I shall read a little bit out of this book. The following information was sourced from the book Everything You Need to Know But Have Never Been Told by David Icke. The fast-changing human atmospheric environment is confirmed by the impact on the Schumann cavity or Schumann cavity resonance, named after German physicist Winfried Otto Schumann, which operates in the extremely low frequency or ELF range between 6 and 8 Hertz. This is the band of human brain activity and all biological systems, and 7.83 Hertz is said to be the frequency where everything can connect and communicate. Dolphins generate sound waves, for example, of 7.83 Hertz, and DNA communicates through extremely low frequency electromagnetic waves at 7.83 Hertz. Human alpha brain waves are also broadcast in the Schumann band in states of relaxation, creativity, and meditation, while fear, stress, and anxiety block alpha waves and disconnect us from everything else. Bombardment of our energetic environment with ionized radiation and technologically generated pulsed frequencies is destroying Schumann resonance. Physicist and Schumann researcher Wolfgang Ludwig said, measuring Schumann resonance in or around a city has become impossible. Electromagnetic pollution from cell phones has forced us to make measurements at sea. Professor Rutger Weaver from the Max Planck Institute for Behavioral Physiology in Germany built an underground bunker isolated from Schumann Resonance to study student volunteers for a month. Isolation from Schumann frequencies caused biological rhythms, circadian rhythms, to be scrambled, and they suffered emotional distress and migraine headaches. These symptoms disappeared after only a short exposure to 7.8 Hertz. Ponder the implications for human life and health of this radiation and frequency onslaught on Earth's electromagnetic field, in the light of how we are constantly interacting with that field as part of the cosmic internet. The Global Coherence Initiative, a division of the US Heart Math Institute, monitors the magnetic field and how it affects and is influenced by human emotions and behavior. The hypothesis on their website is the same as my own. Human and animal health, cognitive functions, emotions, and behavior are affected by solar, geomagnetic, and other Earth-related magnetic fields. The Earth's magnetic field is a carrier of biologically relevant information that connects all living systems. Every person affects the global information field. Collective human consciousness affects the global information field. Therefore, large numbers of people creating heart-centered states of care, love, and compassion will generate a more coherent field environment that can benefit others and help offset the current planetary discord and incoherence. All the fear, anxiety, hate, violence, war, depression, and other lower frequency states are electromagnetic phenomena, and so change the electromagnetic atmosphere around us. Go into a room where there have been negative actions and emotions, and you can feel it. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. This atmosphere is created by human thought and emotion, which manifests electromagnetically at particular frequencies. Now imagine what the cumulative thoughts and emotions of 7 billion plus people are doing to the collective atmosphere second by second. They are creating a feedback loop by electromagnetically polluting the atmosphere, which then impacts upon human mental and emotional states to create more low frequency thoughts and emotions. We can change this by opening our hearts and transmitting frequencies of love, joy, and empathy. In the same way, frequencies are transmitted into the atmosphere technologically impact upon our mental and emotional states, and this is what atmospheric manipulation described by Hayes and others, is designed to do.
Any comments, you guys?
Sounds like we could find a way to have a frequency to help everybody on the planet.
Once we get the resources, yeah, we very much do that. It's actually very simple. We just have to, you can change, like the 435 to 440, they changed the music frequency to discordant frequency. That can be changed back. And other things too. The Wi-Fi could be for healing, like Tesla had, instead of for harm. The frequencies could be adjusted, but again, we need access to the grid, to the AI, etc. for that. So it will happen, maybe it won't, but that's the idea. We can do that. We can change the frequencies, so everybody's okay. I'm going to report on that next week, the 435 to 440 frequency change. Was there anything else to that, Kevin, that article?
It goes off into other frequencies and scalar informations, but that was more specific to the Schumann resonance. It was basically explaining what it was, that all brain frequencies and all life operates at that particular frequency band of what we said now, I think it was 7.83 hertz, and so obviously any frequencies that are not in alignment with what is the Schumann resonance will then cause distortion and disruption and have all the adverse effects as the section mentioned. But yeah, that was basically the gist of it. I mean, there's probably more information about it, but that was to the point, I thought, just explaining basically what it was and the frequency range that it operates from.
Yeah, the vaccines and disturbing the DNA. You said 7.83, the frequency of DNA. So when they introduce these vaccines and turn on the 5G, I mean, you get from inside out, you get the effect, distortion and harm. So, and dolphins, 7.83, and the alpha too, the alpha waves, those were also 7.8 or so. It's interesting.
Pretty much all life operates within that frequency range, and so and obviously their technology is a frequency operating from frequency ranges that are not within that range, and so the results will be as people are experiencing all the various adverse effects and such.
Have you had any real side experiences related to frequencies, like working with them or using them?
Yeah, this Gary Wade, W-A-D-E, he makes these ultrasonic machines. And I use it every so often. I've got prostate cancer, and I use it on that. And he's been around for, I don't know, at least 10 years. And the frequency that I hear that to destroy cancer is like 100,000 hertz up to 300,000 hertz. But Dr. Royal Rife, he did his, but back in 1936, and his frequencies are much higher. They were in millions cycles per second. But he was using vacuum tubes back then, which is harder to adjust and control. But Wade, what he used is a transducer, which is much better and much easier to control, and much more accurate. But the frequency, that 7.83, that's very low frequency, and we can hear that. I don't know why we can't just duplicate it.
Well, we can work on it. Get back to us.
Well, everything that I've got is up around. They start about 20 hertz. I don't have anything that drops down that low. So I don't know why maybe that's why they're staying away from it.
We have
Yeah.
something that goes, I think, up to, I remember 800 was a popular, 800 hertz up to 1,000 or 2 maybe. I think that's a Rife machine we have. Yeah. That's supposed to be a healing frequency like 800, 850.
Is that the one with the handles
Yes, it
that you
is.
hold on to?
Yes, it is.
Well, those ain't no good.
You know,
You're
good.
wasting your money on those. They only that power that comes off of those. It just runs along the tips of your skin. You don't get any penetration with it. You need a transducer that'll penetrate, and you need a coupling because ultrasound don't travel through air, so you got to couple it.
We've tried it and it doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, I tried it for a couple months. It didn't seem to
Yeah,
affect.
it's a waste. It's a waste of money.
Yeah, it was given to us and we used it, but one of our friends gave it to us, but it doesn't seem to do much.
Yeah, I threw mine away. I had about 2 or 3 that I bought over a period of time until I ran into the Wade machine. It's a 10A by Gary Wade. It's about $2,500 now, but when I bought it, was much cheaper. But that's the only thing that's going to work. You've got to be able to get that sound into you. That ultrasound.
And you go when your machine is high as, like you say, 100,000 or
Oh
more?
no, it goes up into the millions.
Wow.
Cycles. Okay. Yeah, it's got a high and low frequencies on it.
It's per second?
But he has it. Huh?
Per second?
Per second. Oh
Wow.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He did a pretty good job. And I appreciate the fact he was able to put it on a transducer.
I think Dwayne talked about his vibration. Don't quote me, but I think 800 or 900 or something. It's gotten higher for this position, you know, the former rod of power. There's a vibration to it. I think he mentioned 900, something like that, or 950, something like that. Not sure what that all means, but you know, these masters, kind of teachers, these so-called spiritual people, they're supposed to have a vibration, but his is increased by his recognition of this isness. It's increased to a higher level through the
Well, I
years.
believe it. I
Yeah.
believe that's how it works. Your frequency is where you go.
Yeah. So
You got a one, you go to whatever place that's vibrating at 1 cycle per second.
So as we become more aware, we have this frequency following us too, you could say.
Yeah, your frequency raises as you make your way up there, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And again, bring something next week. I'm going to bring the musical frequencies that they've been playing around with, and then bring something, you know, fire related and anything else that's related, and we'll have some fun here with this and see what we can come up with. So thanks all for being here. Thanks, Kevin and Ronald, Tim. Thank you. We ended with the NUUU, which is frequency. NUUU. Ronald?
You.
Evan?
You.
And Tim?
NUUU.
Thanks, everybody.